Hi guys, how are you doing today? This is Joseph from Jouleconcepts, and today I'm going to be looking at something different, not really different, but more of product design like we've always looked at. But this time we're going to look at it in a different application and looking at it from start to finish. So you see the product you see here, we have all of this. So in this video series, we're going to be looking at how we can model this and UV unwrap this and then light texture and then do a still render. And then in my bonus tutorial, I'm going to do an animated product like you can see on my screen. So that is what this series is going to be about. So, but before we get into this tutorial, I would say that you should please like and share the video because you don't know who might need this. And if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe to my channels because I do tutorials like this every day. So without taking much of your time, let's just get into the first part of this tutorial. Okay, so when you come to Blender Workspace, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to delete this cube. So I'll just press X and delete the cube. I actually do not need all of this light, so I'm going to just delete everything that I have here. So I'm pressing delete. So I just have this screen without anything. Oh, by the way, you will be saying, how do I have this? It's just basically another environment that I have in Blender. Then I have this PureRef application that I downloaded. It's always on top of my application. So I don't want it to be here so that when I'm modeling here, I'll have to still be moving. That's why I had to split this into half. I just did that by dragging here to split. All right. So that's just what I did. And then I resize this to fit this position so that while I'm doing all of my modeling, I'll be doing my modeling here and I can get my reference here. I still have my interface here. So that's just what I did. So because what I want to do, you can already see the reference. The basic shape where we're going to start it from is going to be a cylinder. And then the first thing we're going to do is we look at the units. This thing is calibrated in millimeters. So what I'm going to do now is just come to the unit setup. In my scene, go to the units. I want to change from meters to millimeters. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And after that, the next thing is to bring the basic shape here. So we have two objects here. We have the cap and the body. So I'm going to start with the body since it's the harder part. So it's the harder one before I go to the cap. All right. So we can tell that the body's height is 124 millimeters. And then the diameter of this whole flask is 70 millimeters. So that means if the diameter is 70, the radius will be 35. And then the height is 124. Just note that. So I'll just go to add, mesh, and then create a cylinder object. So once I have that cylinder object created, a menu will be popped up here by the side. I'm going to click on that add cylinder so that I will use that to modify this object. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the vertices to 24 because it helps me. It helps me with a lesser geometry to work with. All right, so I can actually go 12 if I want to, but 12 will be too small for me to work with. So I prefer going 24. Then I know that the radius, like I said, the radius here is 35 if the full diameter is 70. So I'll just say 35 and then press that. It's going to be really thin. Don't worry about that. And then the height is 124. So I'll just come to the depth. I'll call this 124. And now I'm going to see these objects here. All right. So, and now I start scrolling to this object to the point that you see that my scrolling is not responsive anymore. It's kind of hard for me to scroll. So what I need to do is I need to bring my focus to this object. And how can I bring my focus to the object? Is by selecting the object and hitting the period key on my keyboard. Once I hit that, it's going to bring that to my focus. Then I can zoom in. Everything looks really fine. Okay, so once I'm done with this, the next thing I'm going to do is I'll hit N key to show me some of this menu. If I go to the item, I want to make sure that my scales are always 1. All right, so that's the next thing. So the next thing I'm going to do is, if you look at the object is, this is the ground level, and the ground is at the middle of this object. So I need to move this object up so that is kind of lying on the floor. And don't forget the height. The height is 124. So if I hit tab to go to edit mode, and then I want to move this whole object, I just hit A to select all vertex or whatever sub-object mode you are. So if I hit A to select, or I hit G for move, and I want to constrain my movement to the Z axis, hit Z. And now you can see I have this Z axis. So I want to move this up. While I'm moving up, there's a value change up top here. So I want to move it up half the height. And the reason why I'm choosing half the height is because the gizmo is in the middle of this shape. So if I hit GZ, half 124 is going to be 62. Yeah. And I press enter. Once I do that, see that this is on the floor. And that's a very good way to move this object and still keep the axis or the 3D axis of this object. So I'll hit start to go back to the object mode, and this is what we have. If I go to move now, you see this is on the floor. So once I'm done with that, what I'm going to do next is I will go back to edit mode, go to edge, and then select this loop by holding down Alt and clicking on that line. I'm going to have that selected. Then I want to bevel that. I'll use Ctrl B to bevel and just move my mouse up a little bit, like so. And then while I'm moving my mouse and I click, the menu will come up here. So I just want to add more segment to this to just have that curve. I'm trying to get this curve out. So I am done with that. The next thing I'm going to do is, if you look at the shape, you notice that we have this bulging in, and this top here is kind of smooth. So I'm going to add a little bit of a loop cut where at this top section. So for me to add that loop cut, I'll just hit Ctrl R for loop cut, or I can just click on this icon. So if I hit Ctrl R, I'll click somewhere here, move this where I want this stuff to end. So this is where I want to end. Then I'm going to add another loop cut at this top here, and then press escape. So once I have that selected, the next thing I'm going to do is I'll start selecting every segment here. So if I just hit Alt and select this, I have that selected. Alt and select this, Alt select this with Shift. So sorry, if I use Alt and select, you did this, Alt and select is going to deselect that. So you need to, after you do your first Alt select to select the loop, you hold Alt and Shift to select and add that to the selection. So I'm going to select all of these guys. So I'm just skipping one, picking the next. So I'll skip one, pick the next, skip one, pick the next. So that's just what I want to do. So once I have all of these guys selected, another thing I'm going to do is I need to get rid of those ones at the top because I don't want to do this operation on those. So I'll just hold down Shift to deselect all of these. Just only Shift to deselect. So if I do this, and that will deselect. I'm just clicking on this. If I want to do a marquee selection, Shift will not work. What will work instead will be Control. Just note that. Marquee, Control will deselect that. So we have that. So once we have this done, the next thing I'm going to do is I want to scale all of these points out so that I can have this sharp stuff. So I'll just do Alt S for scale so that I can scale this along their normal. So I will, Ctrl Z. I want to remove this from the selection because I notice it's also coming up here. So I will just Control Marquee to deselect all of these guys. Instead of me clicking one by one, hold down Control and do a window selection over that. Then Alt S to scale. So I just scale this out a little bit like so. And that's fine. So I like that. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So once I have this done, we will run into a problem. The problem is that if you look down here, some points are going below the base. So what we need to do is we need to move all of these points on the same level. So I'll go to my points mode. One is the shortcut. So I will just have to select all of these points. So just select these, hold down Shift to have multiple selection, orbit, Shift and select all of these guys. So once I have everything selected, the next thing I'm going to do is to scale. And the way I'm going to use the scale is I'm going to scale this along the z-axis so that I will have the average of everything. So the scale, like I told you here, you remember if I go to my object mode, the scale is between 0 and 1. All right. So as its maximum is 1. So I want all of the points to be zeroed. What that means is that they are going to be on the same plane. So if I go back to my tab, edit mode, and I hit S for scale, I want to scale along the Y, only the Z. Hit Z, and while I'm moving, notice what is happening. If I move down, the scale is going beyond. Just look up, look at the top here. Look at this value here. You see that the scale is really going 4 point something, and if I start coming down, you see it's going below 1. I want it to be exactly 0 for it to be plain, to be flat like so, but it's kind of hard for me to do, but Blender allows us to input a number. So I'll just, while I'm moving, I'll just type 0 and then press enter, and that will level all of these guys. So because I want to have this smoothing out, I will do similar thing to the next point, set of points. But now the thing with this is that my scale will not be 0, it's just a little bit less than a 0, a little bit more than 0, but less than 1, so that they don't have that 100% impact of high stuff that we have. So let's just say SZ, and as we're scaling this, you can see the value I'm having. Let's just say I'm scaling this 0.5, let's say 0.6, 0.5. I think 0.5 is fine. And then just a little bit of that, and you will see why I'm going to be doing that in a moment. So let's come to the next one. So don't forget it's 0.5. So the next one will be probably 0.2. Sorry, 0.8. Very close to 1. Maybe 0.7, 0.8. So just SZ 0.7. It's just to reduce the impact of these objects. All right. So once I have that done, and that's pretty much what we have. But if you look at this now, you see that, okay, how does it look like this? But let's quickly put this into subdivision surface, and that's how we are going to know if this works. But before I do that, let me just quickly go to object mode and save. Control S to save, and then I will just come all the way up. This is just one of the examples I've done. So let me just quickly create a project here, a folder here. And then just create another one, 2.01, and let's just call this mesh 01, and then I'm going to save that there. So once I have that saved, I'll come into my modify, add subdivision surface here. So let's look for that. Where are you? I think I'm having a spill over here, so I have to just quickly, or I could actually search. Okay, so I could have just searched, but I wanted it to see everything. So just going forward, I will just be doing searches. So I have the subdivision surface added here, but you can see what's happening. You can barely see the impact of that. The sharpness that we were trying to create. And the reason why that impact is not felt is because we still need to go and do one more thing to those points that we scaled out, and we need to bevel those points. All right, so even if you take this to 2, it doesn't do anything because it's just smoothing them out. So we need to bevel. So if I come here also and search BEV, and it's going to add the bevel to it. But once this bevel is added, I want to move this bevel to the top, and you can see that the hierarchy determines what happens. If I bring this here, you see, I think it's better under. But now the issue with the bevel now is that it's trying to bevel everywhere. Let me disable that. You can see it's also trying to bevel at this top. It will also try to bevel under here, and we don't want that. We want the bevel to only affect just a section of our object, which are just the line parts. So if I go to edit mode, so what I will do is before I add this bevel, I would have just selected that first. So I'll come to this. Let me hide subdivision in edit mode so that I'll be able to see what I'm selecting. So if I go to edge mode, I can select the points that I want to add the subdivision to. So all the way here, I'll do the same thing here, all the way here. So I'm leaving this last one, okay, so I don't want that to be included in my selection. And I'll just keep selecting every other one while I keep the one in the middle unselected. So you just have to go through that process in order for you to get the desired effect you're looking for. So once I have all of these guys selected, just like you can see here, I don't know if I should include this, but then we will see in a moment. Maybe we should include. So we will just reduce the impact later on. I'm holding down shift to select all of these guys. Once I have them selected, then I can now add the bevel. And then we have the bevel. You can see what the bevel is doing. It's trying to bevel all of those points that we have selected because we had it selected before adding this bevel. But we don't want the bevel to work with angle. We want it to be like a weight. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll change the limit method from angle to weight. It will reset everything. And so the way the weight works is you look at your item menu here. You have your vertex data and your edge data. What I want to work on is the edge, not the vertex. So we have two things in this edge data. We have the mean bevel weight and then we have the mean crease. The mean crease is talking about the impacts. All right. So if I go and I go 100% impact, it's going to give me a red. This is telling me that the effect of the bevel will be 100% on all of these edges. And then the lower the value is, the lesser the color. You can see the way the color is changing. So I want this to be 100% impact, while this will tell me the bevel width. All right, the size. I'm talking about the width of the bevel now. So that's what. So this bevel width works with your amount. If I gradually start bringing this up, holding down holding down Shift, you see this increases the width of the bevel, while this affects the strength of the bevel. All right, so let's just take this and we want to do this with a little bit like so. We don't want this width to be that broad so that we can have a very sharp effect here. So I want this width to be like this. So this is 0.09. And now I can also come to this and start to reduce more. If I still want to reduce this more, I can use this to reduce this more. And then this gives me this effect. And now let's turn on the subdivision. So let me save this first. Go out. You can see what we now have. If I turn on my subdivision, let's see, it's actually on currently. So if I take this to 3 and look at what we have. Okay, but I feel that I still want to pinch this down. It feels too mature. Let's add one segment first and see what happens. So it's going to smoothen that here. So having one segment does that trick for us. And I like the way it comes down, but for this base, I'm going to do something here in a moment. It's just the top that I need to look out for, because look at this space. So you can see that this is getting really close to the top and it should stop somewhere here. So if I go to tab and I want to select these edges, all of these ones like so. So the good thing with this bevel weight effect is that you can actually select each of the section and work on the impact. So you can see the impact here is here. So I want to see if I reduce this. You can see if I reduce, it's going to make it really sharp. So I want to widen this more than we have for this base. So I'll just increase this to this and try and reduce this guy. So that's just going to smoothen the effect. All right. So once I have that done, the next thing I'm going to do is in order for me to help make this look straight, I need to temporarily turn off this and look at all of these points. I need to move all of these points such that they are kind of a little bit outside. So if I go to point mode, I select this particular point, for instance, and I want to move this point out. I'll change this from global to normal so it can allow me move it along its normal. So if I hit period, number period to bring this out, I want to orbit this a little bit just to move this out so that I can reduce the tension on that section. So I'll do the same thing here and just move this out a little bit so that we don't have this this thing that pushes in. Just what we have to do in order to just add direct our geometry. So period key, number period to just focus on that and just keep pushing all of this out in order for me to get the overall shape that I'm looking for. Select this again, number period, orbit a little bit and move this out. And I'll have to continue doing that till I'm done with every other thing. So while I'm doing this, I'll also be cross-checking to see whether it's fine out. So let's just go out again. You can see what's happening right here. Okay, so maybe another thing I'm going to do is I can select the edge, go to 2 alt and select these edges and just move them down a little bit just to reduce that tension, and just select this one and push this up a little bit. And maybe I want to scale this out, alt S, just scale this out a little bit, all of them, so that we have that smooth. So the next thing is if I go out, you can see what's happening, but no issues with that. We'll always solve that. So the next thing we want to do is, you notice we have this twist. So let's quickly try to create that twist for ourselves. So we are going to use another deformer, and it's called simple deformer. So let me just search. This is it here, simple deform. And that simple deform will try to twist in a particular angle. So the simple deformer has different deformation type: twist, bend, taper, stretch. So you are the one to choose the one you want. So what we want is twist. But now it's trying to twist around the x-axis, and that's not what we want. We want to twist it about this z-axis. So we change this to z, and you can start to see what the twist is doing for us. So you can see you can twist it as much as you want. So maybe you want to twist it this angle or this side. You can just go anywhere. So I think I will go here. 45. That 45 is actually a good twist value. And then let's quickly do this base part. So if I go to tab, I can select 3 to go to face and select this. I will do an insert just to create a supporting edge here. And if I go out, you can see that you have smoothened that section. If I want this to be really sharp, what I can do is I can select this edge, go to 2, select that edge, and do a little bit of a bevel here. So just hit Control B for bevel. Just really tighten this. Once I do that and I go out, you can see that we have that definition at the base. So we'll do similar thing here. At this top, we'll select here, tab, select this, go to 3 for face, select that, I for insert, just to insert that out a little bit. And then I'm going to do E for extrude. I'll extrude this downwards, maybe all the way here. Do another I for insert, and then E for extrude. And now we have extruded this, but look at what we have. The reason is because we still need to add some supporting edges. So if I hit tab, I can select this edge, go to 2 so that I can go to edge mode. While this edge is selected, Alt and Shift to select this other edge, Control P to bevel those edges. And let's go out. You can see that that part is done. So I just want Maybe I want to let this go down since we are going to have maybe the flask water. So I can just go to tab, select faces. I'm going to select these faces and then shift and select that. Then I can move this really down since it's going to be taking water. So I can just move this down. I think that's fine for us. So hit tab, you have that. Let's add a bevel here. So Control R, I can click and move this bevel down. I'm trying to see where Control Z. So let me add it again, Control B. Let me move this down all the way there. I think that's fine. The only issue I have is this top. It looks too round. So what I can do is select this edge, Alt and click, Shift Alt and click, then bevel those edges so that I have that stuff. So if I hit tab, you can see that we have a round top for this section and it's beginning to look like what we have on the screen. So that's how you are going to create this part of this product. And then the next one, which is this cap, is a very simple one also. So you have the height, which is 39, and then you have the radius, which is 64. So let's quickly create that. Shift A, cylinder, and it remembers our setting, but we want to change our setting. We know the depth is 39, and then we know that this is 64, that is 32. So I'll just change the radius to 32, and that's just pretty much what we have here. So this is coming into this place. It's going to rest on top of that. If I go to X-ray mode, so this is how it's going to rest here. All right, you can see that. So let's quickly see how to create this. So we have this, and then we can quickly start adding the details to this object. So let's quickly do this base. Go to tab and go to edit mode, and we can start. Let me go back to object and global. Control R to add the segments and just push this here. We'll do that. Control R again. Control R again, add another segment here. So I'll just keep adding segments in order for me to, so why I'm adding the segment is so that I'll be able to select some of these things for beveling. So Control R again. So I have my 1, 2, this. Control R. I want the one for the black. So I want this is for the black part, the black rubber, and let's get this all the way here. And you will say, how does this translate to anything? So let's isolate this object by hitting /. It's going to isolate the object. I can go outside this mode, and let's select this. Go to face mode, Alt and click this, Shift and Alt and click this, and I'm going to extrude this. If I hit E for extrude, it's just going to extrude on one side, and that will not solve this problem. We want to extrude on all of the sides. So what we're going to use, we're going to do a normal extrude. And how do we do the normal extrude? Alt and E is going to bring up this menu, and we do face along normal, and then this will extrude along all its normals. And let's just extrude this out a little bit like so. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Alt E for extrude, and along normal, I want this to extrude outward a little bit more than those ones. And if I put this into a subdivision surface, let me save this, Control S. Okay, so I guess I have to move this here. Maybe I should have even moved this thing here. So let me just do what I just did there. So I'll just drag this to this point and change this to image editor. I can move this here. and drag this here. So we'll, instead of checking it from here, we'll just look at from there. I think it's better this way, so we don't have any issue with this. So I'm going to put this into subdivision surface. Before I do that, Control S. I don't want to subdivision surface, and this is what I have. You can see. So we need to start adding some supporting edge. So I'll just hit Start to take me to edit mode, and Control R to add one at this section. Control R again, add one at the middle. And now let me hide this in edit mode so that I'll be able to see what I'm doing here. So if I select this guy, go to tool for edge selection. I'll do Control P to just bevel this a little bit like so, and do the same thing here. Control P to bevel this also, and let's go out. You can see we have that definition, but this place, maybe we should just leave it rounded. Actually, was thinking maybe I'll just make it flat, but let's leave it rounded. And let's see. Let's increase this and see what we have. I think this is not bad, but I'm having some artifacts here, so let's just solve that. So I'll just Control R, add one somewhere here so that it will just be a supporting edge for that section. You can see. And I want to have a detail here, so I'll just come here again, Control R, add one supporting edge here, escape, do another one here, Control R, and let's see, and that's defined. And then this top here is not as sharp as what you have here, so what we just need to do is select this edge and Control B. So add that little beveling here. And then I'll select this top face by hitting 3 to go to face mode, and then I for insert, and that will give me that. So if I hit tab, and you can see that this is really sharp, that's fine. So let's unisolate this. This is what we have, and let's look here. You can see where this rubber thing is. This handle is close to the top. So let's quickly go to edit mode and add some cuts here. I'll add a cut where I want this to be somewhere here. And once I have that done, the next thing is I need to select the point where I'm going to have this rubber. Okay. So how do we do that? I'll go to point mode, select these points, and also select these 2 points. So just select one and keep the other one. I'm going to bevel this point. Control B. I will drag this out and let go. You notice nothing happens, but I've actually beveled. The reason why I'm not seeing anything is because if you come to this menu, we are trying to bevel edge. It's trying to do the operation on edge, whereas we did it on vertex. So we need to switch this to what we want it to affect, which is vertex, and you can start to see what's happening. And this is this, so we can just reduce the width. Just look at what works for you, and just put the width as to the size you're looking for. And also, you notice that I'm having like a diamond shape. I want to have something that looks round. And the reason is because we only have one segment. If I increase this segment, you see what we have. It turns to star. And actually not star, it's just the direction of the bevel. So the bevel is going inwards instead of going outwards. And for me to change the direction of this bevel, I'll just come to the shape and bring this down. If I take it up, you can see what's happening. So I want to bring it down so that it gives me roughly like a round shape like so. I feel this is still too much, so I will reduce this. So maybe I'll try 1.5. Yeah, I think 1.5 is fine for me. So once I have that done, I'll just Alt E and extrude along normal. I want this to go inside the shape. And then I will do I, just a little insert, and then we can now extrude this out. So let me go into top view and then Alt E, extrude along. It's normal, we'll just come somewhere here. So what we can now start to do is you can see what happens. It has kind of reduced this. So what I will do is I want to scale this up. But if I try to scale, it's going to take everything. You can see the way. So it's scaling this, but we could also try to change the operation to affect the individual origin. So it will just affect them individually. But if I do this, you see, it's affecting them individually. Whereas if we were here, if we were at the media and we do this, see what is happening. And that's not what we want. I want it to affect individual faces. So I'll just come here, individual origin. So even if I come, it affects only the individual origin. So, and that's there. So if I come all the way to this top, I can control. So let me just do this part, finish this, and then we can go to the other one. So I'll go to face, select only this face first. Okay, so let's go to the top view. And I'll just hold down Control and right click. Control right click. So let me undo that. Control right click, Control right click, Control right click to direct this guy. So I'll do the same thing for this one. So let's just select this and Control Z, sorry. Control to remove this. Let's go to the top view and Control right click, Control right click. And what I'm doing is I'm beveling where my cursor is. Control Z. So Control, let me undo that one also. Control right click, Control right click. So the next thing is I need to join these two together. So I will just select these guys by holding down Shift. Once I have those two faces selected, I will right click and go to bridge faces, and then I can just add one loop cut, and I think that's fine. So what I just need to do is to move this one away, and I'll just go to point mode, X-ray, select this, go to the top, grab that just to get that shape. Okay, I'll select this one, G to grab this, select this, G to grab, just to get that curved shape that we want. And that's how I will do this. But now I don't want it to look too mechanical. It's too flat. I need it to rest, because when this thing rests, when you put it, it should rest down. So how do we do that? I need to start moving all of these points down. So if I come here, if I try to move, you can see what's happening. And I rotate, it's really distorting. So there is a way I can move this so that the impact will gradually go and affect these ones, and it's called proportional editing. The shortcut is O. If I turn this on and I hit G, it will move everything because the impact is really high. So I need to start reducing the impact by scrolling my wheel. I'm scrolling the wheel up. You can see while I'm scrolling it up, it's gradually reducing, and I'm beginning to see the circle. So whatever is within the circle is what's going to have impact on. So I want to increase it such that it just have impact all the way to this place. And I'll come here and rotate that, grab, rotate. And now you can see it's beginning to affect the body. So I'll just scroll this out so that it just affects only this one. Rotate, grab, increase the impact a little bit without touching the body. So we'll just do this. And I'll select this one, grab, and do a little bit of a rotation, just like so. Select this, rotate, reduce this so that it just affects only that. Okay, and maybe I want to move everything now, so I'll just come here again, grab that, increase this a little bit. I want to, so I'm just trying to direct this to give what I want, and I think that is fine. And I just need to scale this guy because it looks really too much. So I just scale this in like so. I'm gonna go out. Okay, I think that's fine. No, scale this. All right, so I have that. Let me rotate it a little bit. All right, so we have this object, and if I go outside, you can see what we have. Just how you can create very simple thing in no time. Okay, so this is how you will create the model. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to unwrap this product and then possible texturing. So see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day and God bless you. Bye.